I'm praying because I'm having issues with Facebook Live at period. Like, I may have to. This is ridiculous, man. Like, I don't even know what to do. I don't know what to do because I'm having issues. Let me see. I'm having issues with people joining my live, and I don't know why. Okay, this is like, I don't know. Is it giving you an option to join the? I know, right? And Robert, the sad thing about it, I also have another guest today, Healing Before Dealing Life After Divorce. So your segment was supposed to be at least 20 to 30 minutes, but Facebook has been giving me the blues because first of all, okay. Look, now okay, great. Why is it giving me, it's saying unable to, what is going on with Facebook? What is going, did you do something? Did I do something? Like, it's letting you comment, but it's saying unable to add guests. It won't let me add you to my. And the reason I wanted to be able to add you is because I wanted both of us to get those organic views real quick before I start my other one. What in the world, man? Let me try to add this one. Oh, great. Great. There you go. There you go. I was getting so mad. I'm like, I know. I didn't know
All
what
right.
was going on.
All right, hold on. Let me get my setup right because I had a whole different
Uh,
setup going, but I had to switch your devices. Hold on.
okay, great. And I wanted to long, like right after you, I got this healing before dealing big. But I wanted our conversation. I may have to text her to be like, can we push it back about hers back about 10 minutes and do maybe 2:10 instead? Because I really wanted your wisdom. Like, we talked a little bit about, becoming an adult and growing, and we talk a lot about mindsets and just, like you and Tam talked about it this morning.
Yeah.
So how do you got, you got that set up? Okay, Mississippi tags. Okay,
When
I
I
want your insight on what are some things you did to take progressive steps from having a high school mindset to growing a mature mindset or becoming a man.
my responsibility pretty much it was changing my mindset as I acquired new things and uh, the knowledge about my journey grew and about myself grew. It made me go ahead and level up. It made me mature up. I had to put the childish things away because they were they couldn't benefit me on my journey. They couldn't help me pay my bills, and they couldn't help me, get the wisdom that I needed for my children, or they couldn't help me, though I had to put the childish ways alone. They couldn't help me on my journey.
Mm-hmm.
And the
And if
people
you,
that I met too, that I was around, they was more mature minded people too.
right, so do you feel like a lot of people have to adjust or change their circle if they're wanting to grow, or?
Yeah, I think that I think you should always grow your network. It should, and it's one of those things where some of the people in your network, they might be permanent, fixtures, and some of the people, they gonna come and they gonna go. You're not gonna have a lifetime connection with everybody in your network. It's beneficial if you can, so y'all can network. But some people, you're gonna be at a point on your journey where you just need them at that moment, and y'all just happen to benefit each other at that time, and then y'all just keep on going. Y'all just keep on growing and growing, and you have those two types of people in your network.
Okay, what kind of people let's say you met a certain type of person. What are some indications of this is not the type of person that I need to be around to grow?
They just don't match my journey. I'm trying to grow, and they trying to do everything to sabotage my growth and their growth. A lot of times when we vent to people, everybody ain't looking for somebody just to, complain with. Some people really looking for a kick in the butt. They're like, you like, man, I really don't feel like doing this now. Well, sometimes you need that person to say, but bro, you said you was gonna put everything into this right now. You said this was bad. You need that reminder. You need that. You all these reasons that you said you're gonna do this and you're gonna quit now. It's like, it ain't always got to be a punch in the face, but sometimes like that reminder can be helpful in your journey rather than somebody just want to have a pity party with you. Oh man, we finna complain all day. They go, come on, let's go drinking. Man, look, me getting drunk ain't gonna help me fix nothing I got going on. It's like I need a more positive solution. I need a more positive solution on my journey. I'm looking for more positive people. I don't want nobody that's trying to lower my vibration if I'm already feeling low about something. I need help to raise it. You know what I mean? So I want to be around people that's gonna do that.
Okay, staying committed, because we know you and Tam have a very committed marriage. Staying committed in a sneaky link era. Staying away from what's popular to everyone else and doing what's popular for yourself. How do you stay true to that in this generation?
I say I see the as I got older, I see the power in being a virgin, being new to things, and now and the power in not always being a part of things. It adds value to you. You can it's that quantity over quality thing. You could do something a whole lot, or you can do it a little bit, and it may be more enjoyable that way and more valuable to you because you're putting that moderation into it. Or you could do something a whole lot and it lowers the value. It's like, oh, everybody doing this, so it ain't really nothing no more. It ain't really valuable no more. So I want things to remain valuable. In my mind, I think I don't feel like life is short. I feel like life is long. It's short based on your mindset. I want to live to be 100 years old. So my neighbor is 70 and he get around just fine. He ain't crippled or handicapped. And if you say life is short, he gonna tell you something different. He's 70. He been here for 70 years. That's a long time. I know things seem to happen fast, but 70 years is a long time. And so if I'm striving to be 100, then I got time to take my time with some things, be humble and put that moderation in there. Don't overdo it. It's gonna always be here. It was here before you.
Okay. So they have this quote called "Value doesn't beg." What does that mean to you?
Value. You said say it again.
Value doesn't beg.
Well, yeah, because it's already valuable to me. It kind of like it sells itself. You are, when you see it or what you associate it with, it already associated with a certain type of value or a certain people, places, and things, that's relative to it that it's associated with. It's kind of like brand value almost. When you see somebody drive a Mercedes, you instantly think, a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people, the majority of people think, oh, high class, because that's the brand value Mercedes associated itself with. Nice watches, fine dining, executive level. Mercedes associated itself with that. But if you pull up in a Toyota Corolla, it doesn't necessarily mean that you poor, but it could mean that you don't really put an emphasis on, things like that. You don't really see a value in it, attaching it to you. You don't really see a value in driving the Benz because you walk everywhere. So you don't really see, you don't, even though it's valuable, it ain't as valuable to you. You know what I mean? So again, value don't beg. When you see that Benz, you know what to do. You ain't got to tell everybody it's a Benz. You know what I mean?
That's why
you ain't got to tell them.
To them, y'all. They are a wealth of knowledge. We have another. We're gonna plug in a couple more things because I have Tara Myers coming after Robert, but Robert is such a wealth of knowledge. I just the level up from being a high school graduate to becoming a father and a husband, a businessman is unmatched. When a person of value is speaking, what happens, Robert?
Usually everybody be quiet. Like, I mean, it's pretty simple. Like, I noticed a lot of times when I would go to the city locations, somebody would, you know, be interested in something I posted on Facebook, and that conversation would turn into a stage because it would be other people because they sharing amongst each other that seen something that I had said, and so at that point in time, you know, okay, it's like, wow, okay, everybody listening to me, everybody being quiet. It went from a, hey, how you doing, to a, man, listen to what this young man is saying. He really speaking wisdom and power into the people. And so they just be quiet and they soak it all up. And they root you on too. You know, even though some people may not want to hear it, that's okay. They turn around and walk off. You know, you ain't gonna be able to grab everybody, but I have a each one teach one mentality. One person got it. You know, one person got it unfulfilled. You know what I mean? Like, you know, unfulfilled. I did what I was put here to do. You know what I mean? Because now, if I look at it like that, I won't stop what I'm doing. I'll keep, as long as I reach one, and that can grow real fast. You know, so word of mouth is a big deal. When people would, you know, tell people about me and introduce me to people like you're doing, you know, they would let them know I'm a wealth of knowledge. They would hear something I'm saying that would be relative to them, and we would connect. And so when I was in the truck driving and towing, I really liked towing because it was you know, when I got to the part where I was pretty much, you know, wrapping up being in the truck, man, most of what I did was campaigning. I would just be at the shops just talking to the people, you know, because I knew, you know, once I get out of this truck, I'm going to want to take this same audience with me, you know, on my journey wherever I go. And so I was just doing a lot of campaigning because I knew I was finna get up out of the truck. I knew that I had planned that this is one of those things that's going to elevate me to the next level. So this is not a definite always. This is something that I'm going to go hard in so I can get to that next level. Again, you say this all the time. You can't outwork me. So when I was in that tow truck, I knew nobody could outwork me. I knew nobody could multiply my approach how I was doing it. Yes. And so it would allow me to go to the next level where I can get out of the truck with this wisdom and put this wisdom on a greater platform.
Mm-hmm. Perfect answer. This is the last question. I wish it could be longer, but you gonna be back on the show, bro. So the last question, before I let you plug in some of the ventures you have going on, how important is it for a person to love from a healed place?
It's very important for a person to love from a healed place because of how the person you loving feels about the information that you're giving them. If you're coming from a healed place, even if you're wrong, the person can accept that. But if you're coming from a hurt place, you're probably being a little bit forceful about the information that you're giving. It's coming from a hurt place. Hurt people hurt people. Wow. So a lot of the hurting is also in the approach. How you do what you do is the example of the behavior that you're putting out when you're hurt, and it's magnified. And so now you know, it's infectious. This person loves you, so they're taking on a little bit of your character, a little bit of your behavior, a little bit of your personality, and it grows into something toxic. On the flip side of it, if you're positive and it's a positive person, y'all pushing each other up on their pedestal. Y'all can grow one another to bounds. It ain't no bounds. You know, it ain't no limit. It ain't no ceiling to it. As long as y'all able to stay out of y'all feelings, to keep putting each other up on their pedestal and understand that whatever you're doing, you're not doing it to hurt me. You're doing it to benefit the whole. And so, you know, it's just staying in that positive mindset and understanding. Then when you have those positive self-talks with yourself, make sure you saying, I want to be aware of the things that I'm not made aware of, you know, so you could be a better contributor to whatever you're a part of.
That's amazing. Go ahead and plug in what ventures you got going
on. First, man, I'm really serious about the life coaching. So I have the domain name, and it's going to be based around 3 building blocks: health, family, and finance. Look, I've been in business. I figured out how to do a lot of things as far as making some money go. I figured out how to, you know, put my money in wealth vehicles and build my money. But I also figured out how family is tied to that wealth, and also how your health plays a big part of it too. And so my big thing is the health of your mindset. You know, once you enter my program, I want to get you in and really work on your mindset to get your mind wrapped around these new concepts we're going to introduce you to, so you can positively positivity. Saying the word ain't coming out right, but
Positively.
so you can positively change your life. You know, so yeah, hit that success you're trying to reach. Also,
Yes.
you know, also we still have hair care company going because
Grow
you
them
know,
beards, fellas.
yeah, as well as I'm speaking, I also want to maintain, you know, a nice beard on my face. You know, my best beard.
His
So
is
you
real.
know,
No, I'm just
you
kidding.
know, I'm encouraging guys to, you know, look, shop at haircarecompany.com so you can have your best beard, you know. So that's
Yeah.
always going on.
Put your best beard forward. Come on,
Put
y'all.
your best beard forward. I like that.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna bring up my guest so you can just welcome her real quick, and then you gonna be back on the show. I just wish we had more time. You know, we love talking, so we gonna have you back on the show. But we're gonna add Tara, and you'll be able to say hello to Tara.
Okay.
Tara is actually our healing before dealing, life after divorce person. So we welcome you, Tara. This
Welcome,
is my
Tara.
brother, Robert.
Hey, how are y'all?
Doing great. Bye, Robert. Thanks for being on the show. You guys purchase, get his life coaching, and he will be back on the show. Have an amazing day, bro.
Salute.
I knew he was gonna salute. All right. All right. How do I remove him from the actual? Robert, you're gonna have to remove yourself. I don't know how to do it. I just say it. Where'd he go? Oh, okay, great. Hey, Tyra, how are you?
Hey. Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing better than good and better than most. So many individuals have reached out to me because, which I didn't know that so many people were going through a divorce, and of course, everyone knows marriage is not only a legal union, but you share so much with the person, your home, body, mind, spirit. In some cases, people have kids and things like that. And for one, how do you let go? And for two, how do you heal from that? So we're going to talk to Tara. If you guys have any questions about healing before dealing, or you're going through a divorce or a situation where it's hard for you to let go, you can drop your comments in the chat section. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get this interview started. So Tara, how old were you when you entered into your marriage?
I got married when I was 21 years old. I met him when I was 19.
So you were extremely young.
Very young. I was a freshman in college and he was a senior in college. So I was really young.
Mm-hmm. And before you got married, what was your concept of marriage? Did you grow up in a household with married parents?
I did. My parents have been married. I think they just celebrated 47 years because I'm 36 and they were married 10 years before they had me. So yeah, 47 years, I think, is what they came up on. So that's all I knew, right? And then in my family, mostly all the people in my family are married, and we're talking 20 plus years marriage. So I think we may have had one or two family members that got a divorce, you know, with me growing up. But the majority of my family is 2-parent homes, you know.
So what was your concept of marriage before you got married?
Now looking back on it, I don't know if I really had a concept. I think I just knew what I saw. I saw my mom and my dad, you know, I just thought it was, you know, two people that love each other and they just raise a family together and, you know, they grow and be happy is what I thought was a marriage, you know, my concept of marriage when I was 19.
Okay, so once you entered your marriage, what are some things that you said, okay, this is maybe the same or maybe different than what I thought marriage was?
So it was weird. Like I said, I was 21. So none of my friends were married. So I was like one of the first ones out of my group to be married. So I used to just, I guess maybe take my marital advice from TV, watching TV shows and just seeing that, because I didn't really have like friends to bounce it off of. And then I was, I guess, too shy or not confident enough to talk to my family and ask them like, hey, you know, even though they've been married for 20 plus years at that time, I just didn't, you know, think of them as a resource. So I was, you know, just trying to base it on what I saw on TV or what I thought it could be. And it was crazy because I was just like, you know, I felt like, am I crazy? Because I don't think this feels right. Or I don't Like, especially when something happened, I'd be like, well, I don't like that. But I didn't know if that was right or wrong because I really wasn't talking to anybody about it to ask.
Mm-hmm. So what
But
are some things that you would say, hey, this doesn't feel right?
I guess maybe like the intimacy, the love part. Like I knew I wanted to feel loved, and sometimes I didn't always feel love. So I was like, well, is that something that just happens in marriage? Like you just don't feel loved all the time. You know, that's just something you have to accept. So I didn't know if that was something I had to tell myself, or was that just how it was? Like, you know, I was confused on, is this just something I have to accept, or or is it better? Should I, you know, look for something, or is this what I'm supposed to be doing? If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And by you having friends who were single, do you feel like you kind of, because you were extremely young, do you feel like you kind of missed out on some of the fun because you were married?
If you were to ask my ex-husband, he would probably say that was the one thing I said the most, is I felt like I missed out on like my college years, or missed out on really like, I guess like my young adult years, because I was a sophomore in college, pregnant. Junior year I had my son, and I was married, so I was not your typical traditional college student. I lived off campus. I lived with
With your husband?
right. So I do sometimes think I missed out, but then, you know, I just feel like, you know, that was the plan for me at that time. And looking back on it, as far as the structure that I needed that structure, probably.
Okay, so you feel like you did need the family structure, or do you
I think
feel
so. I
like?
think because that's what I was used to. And you know how like when you go into college and you lose all of that structure, and now you got all this freedom, you know, I can do this, I can do that. But I probably still needed that. Because you know, like I said, I was a mom, so I had to be a mom and I had to be a wife. So I went straight from my parents' house straight to, you know, me and my ex-husband's house.
Okay, what are some misconceptions that you had? Like you're like, whoa, this is not what I thought marriage was. Like, what were some things you may have experienced within your marriage that you said, besides the intimacy, like this is not what I thought I was signing up for?
The compromise, having to uh I guess, you know, run a household with someone else, and especially someone that we didn't really, I don't want to say we didn't know each other, but we were young. Like I said, we had just, you know, met each other in college, and we were doing what we thought we needed to do, but just trying to blend two different individuals, and doing it young, doing it, you know, with no money, doing it with a child. I just, I don't, I never even thought about that. So I guess I never had a real idea of what marriage was supposed to be like. I was just in there kind of winging it, you know, just doing the best I could with what I had.
Communication, did you guys communicate well with each
No,
other?
no. I mean, sometimes I think parenting, we did really well with parenting. But as far as just like us, like I think we just always missed that mark. Like we just could never get on the same page. Sometimes we could, sometimes we couldn't. But just like overall, it just became too much of a struggle. You know, it just became too hard to talk. And and so we would just not talk at all, because that was just easier. You know, if just say nothing. And that turned into, you know, resentment, and it just grew and festered other things. So I
Was
think
there?
now looking at it, communication is like number one.
Mhm.
You know, I try to
So there
express
was a
myself.
number.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I said that was like the number one thing. The communication was off.
Right, right.
And you said you tried to
Not
express yourself. I'm sorry.
right. And then just me trying to understand myself, you know, because I was growing up, and then trying to understand another person, and having that grace and that empathy and that understanding, on top of just trying to figure it out, you know. And I think it's really important who you pick. um, you know, you really, because when it gets hard, because I do know, like, and I have learned from being married, like, marriage is going to be hard. Marriage is not always easy. But when it is hard, you want to have that person that, you know, that you that you like, that's your person, you know, because it just makes it a little bit easier when it's hard to still to still have a person that you like, you know what, that's my friend. That's somebody I'm still comfortable with talking to. That's someone I feel safe, you know, to be myself and to be who I need to be able to get through whatever, you know, you go through in a marriage.
So you didn't feel like you could be yourself?
No, no. And I've learned that with going through
Feel.
therapy. How did I feel back then?
Yeah, dating your husband, um, because it was a person. Well, he's going to be on the show later, but he said he's in a relationship, but he feels single. Did you feel like I'm with this person, but I'm not necessarily in a relationship? It's like we're committed to what?
I did. I did. I didn't. I now, like I said, I did not really have an idea of what I thought marriage was supposed to be, but I'm a feels type person. So in that, I just always didn't feel loved. I didn't feel safe. And
But
so
that's important though.
very important, very important. And so, you know, I would try to find it on my own and do it for myself, but it always wasn't, you know, met. And I just feel like for me, my needs in a relationship, my needs in a marriage, I have got to feel safe. I have got to feel loved. And that's for me, that's where I feel like I'm my best self. I'm my most confident self. Is if I feel safe, then I'm able to communicate to you. I'm able to come to you with a hard issue and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling, because I know with you, I'm safe and I should be able to say this and be heard. And we can discuss it and, you know, work from that point. But that's
So
the main thing.
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm saying that's one of the main things I learned from my last marriage is communication, man. Like, and truly picking that person that you love. Like, if it's something that you don't feel, or if you're not feeling it with that person, like, you can't force it. You cannot force it. You cannot just keep going on and hope that it'll click in or lock in. Like, that does not work unless both people want to do it.
Okay. So do you feel marriage has the power to change a person? Like a lot of people get married thinking, okay, once we get married, this person will eventually change some of the behaviors that they had prior to, so it doesn't.
Once you get married, that's the person you're marrying. Like, when you marry them, if you have any things that you think that you're going to hope it's going to get better when you get married, it's not. Like, they are who they are. And that's why when you pick your person, you have got to be okay with them and all their flaws, because some of those things y'all can work on together and get better with. But most of the time, that person is that person. You know what I mean? They are who they are. They're showing you who they are. And if they're not showing you a change before you get married, then they're not going to change when they get married. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not showing that change before we get married, I just strongly doubt that it's going to be something different when you get married, because marriage is hard. And so now you're married, and now not only do I want you to work on this marriage, but I also want you to still work on changing that too, or whatever that issue is. And that just, you know, normally gets put on the back burner, and that's not what he wants to do or she wants to do. So that's not going to happen.
Okay. So before you did walk away, before things ended, how long did this marriage last?
I was married for 12 years legally. Um, we separated after 10 years, but we had a separation in between that 10-year marriage, where when we were living in Memphis, I moved out for about 3 or 4 months, and then I came back, and then when we moved to Atlanta, we separated again and that's when we ended up going through the divorce. But we
Okay.
were together for a total of 10 years, and it took about 2 years to get divorced. So 12 years total.
What made you guys, because you were together almost, well, a decade, over a decade, what contributed to you staying together for so long?
The children. We had, like I said, when I got to college and I got pregnant, and we felt like, because he comes from a two parent home as well, so we just both thought, you know, this is what we should be doing. Like, you know, we have a kid, we're gonna try to make this work, and I think we both tried our best to make it work for the children.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So I think that was the main motivator in our marriage, that kept it going for as long as it did, because we had kids, and we still today both want the best for our children.
Mhm. Do you regret that it lasted so long?
Do I regret it? No, I don't regret it. Um, I think everything happens for a reason. Everything has a purpose and a season. That was just, my season was 12 years with him. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Were you hurt? Like once it did end, were you hurt by it? Or were either of you hurt by it ending?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. So like when we first was going through it, like after we actually, because he filed, and after he actually filed, it was still like that was like a okay, whatever period for me. And so I did not deal with it. I just was like, this is just happening. This is just the process. And I just didn't deal with those feelings. And so maybe, and then once we actually went to court, that's when I was like, okay, this is real. And I think
Wow.
that's when I just got petty. That's when I was just like, well, I'm not finna feel any of these feelings. I'm not finna show that I'm hurt. But I just never dealt with it. I never dealt with any of those feelings going through that divorce. And like I said, it took us 2 years to get divorced. So all through those 2 years, we had a ton of stuff happen. I learned a lot about myself. Like it was just, I was in therapy as well. But that divorce, that like, and then the feelings come in waves. So like, you know, when we finally got divorced and everything fine, sealed, and delivered, I'm like, okay, I can start over. I can kind of have something settled. I kind of know what's going to happen. I know what's going on. I should be okay. And at least I thought I was okay. But then it was like, no, these feelings came back. Like maybe like 6 months later, like they just all came back. And I was just like, oh my God, these are these feelings that I never dealt with. These are these feelings that I was trying to push away and not deal with. And so now I'm having to deal with these feelings, and I'm just like, divorce, that was, and it's still something. I think it's something you daily heal from and daily grow from. I'm in a much better space than I was, maybe a year ago, but it hurts.
Oh, it's
I,
still kind of it's still fresh.
right. And because it'll be 3 years in January, and I'm just like, that pain, that hurt, that change, because it's just a life-changing experience. Like everything changes in your life. Everything, is no longer the same. The people that you used to talk to, the places that you used to go, where's even Facebook, the memories that come up on Facebook. It's like everything changes. And it's an adjustment period, and it's just a whole lot of stuff changing.
So I didn't even think about the people that you hung around as a couple that you no longer hang around, or the people that are associated with you that no longer associate with you because you're no longer attached to that person.
Right.
Dealing with those, like, how does that make you feel that certain people aren't associated? Like, do they at least speak to you, or do you feel like they would be picking a side if they like?
We had a couple of mutual friends. Well, I think we just had friends that, we met along the marriage. And I think that, just like no one ever said, oh, I'm going to stop talking to you, or, oh, I'm going to stop talking to him. It wasn't that type of thing, but it was always like, I just felt like maybe they might have been a little uncomfortable. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, especially with if they're still his friend on Facebook, or if they're still my friend on Facebook. um I just feel like maybe they might feel like, well, I'm just not going to say nothing to Tara if they see something, or I'm just not going to say nothing to Mark, or who he is, if they see something. So I feel like they maybe have felt like a little bit of, I'm just going to stay out of it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But no one ever like was like, I'm gonna stop talking to you. With his family, we've grown and gotten a lot better, but in the beginning it was no talking. And I think that was one of the hardest things for me, was, just that normalcy that I knew just ending, like cut off, dead, we're done, I don't know you, moving on. Like that was one of the hardest moments for me.
Okay. So we got a couple of people in the chat, Shantricia and Latoya. They said, Shantricia said, yes, those friends, family, and social media moments are sometimes awkward. And Latoya says, I chose to disconnect with anyone associated to my ex.
And I did that. I got off Facebook for like a year because I didn't want to see it. I didn't want nobody to call and tell me nothing. Like, I was just like, I don't want to deal with that. But that was also during that time where I didn't want to do anything, right? I didn't want to. I was just like, okay, I'm fine. I'm just going to be on Facebook and not listen to it, and I'm just going to move on with my life. But I was also not dealing with feelings, too.
Mm-hmm. Mm. So what do you mean you didn't deal with feelings?
I didn't deal with it. Like, I thought they were less than what they were. Like, I downplayed how I felt about going through the divorce, being divorced. I downplayed that way more than what I actually was truly going through.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a good support system when you were going through, or did people understand it, or how was your support system during the divorce?
I had an amazing support system. Like, I still have my mom, my dad, I have my entire family, I have, my kids, and I have my loving boyfriend. So I have an amazing support system, but none of them been divorced, right? So even when I am talking, and sometimes I felt like I was just rambling and I just kept talking about the same thing over and over, and I felt like I was getting on people's nerves, but I felt like nobody really understood it because nobody had been through it. I can remember, talking to my parents about it one time because I'm just like, y'all don't get it. Y'all don't get it. Y'all are still married. Like, y'all don't know what it's like to be divorced and be a single mom and raise kids. And, when I thought it was supposed to look like this way, and it didn't. And now I'm like, I'm just adjusting. And it's like I felt like they wanted me to like snap and be like, oh, well, let's move on. But it wasn't that easy for me. Mm-hmm. It took me a minute. It's taking me a minute.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they didn't get the fact that it took time.
I don't know if they just didn't want to see me hurting, and they just kind of wanted to be like, okay, let's just fix it. Because my parents are like, let's just fix it. We can just fix it. And sometimes you got to sit in it. You got to sit in those feelings. You got to hurt. You got to be sad. You got to look sad. You got to cry. You got to, get all of that out so you can move on.
Mm-hmm. And a lot
maybe
of
that want to be sad.
Yeah. And then the kids, I'm looking at the fact that you all have so divorce and kids, because people don't understand the attachment that comes with having kids. Like, if a person with no kids divorces a person, it's kind of like, I can just deal with not seeing you. When you have kids, you still have to somewhat communicate with the person because they have access to your kids, especially if the kids are under a certain age. Mm-hmm. How old were your kids when you went through the divorce?
We had just had a baby. So I had a 1-year-old. I had a kindergartner. My middle son was going into kindergarten, and my oldest son was going into 6th grade, so middle schooler.
Y'all had a baby?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so with the kids, did it make it more difficult? I'm sure I know the answer, but with the kids being so young, do you feel like it made it more difficult because they were so little?
Probably, because like now that they're older, my oldest has a cell phone, so I don't have to do the phone thing. I don't have to say, hey, call your dad, or your dad's calling, and I don't have to do any of that. He just kind of talks and communicates with him through that. But just sitting there deciding, because like I said, I went through a petty phase. So sometimes I would sit there and be like, do I call him and say there's a parent-teacher conference meeting tonight, or do I? Because I don't want to talk.
The petty phase? What do you? Hold on. You just not gonna say that real quick. During your petty phase, what did you just say? Do I call him?
Like, and that was me not dealing with feelings, right? So I'm just gonna be petty. Like, well, my thought process was petty. It was like, well, do I want to call for this, or I shouldn't have to call because he can find out for himself, or why should I? I just was like constantly questioning myself. Should I do this? Should I do that? Is that doing too much? Is that not doing enough? And I'm just like, you know what? This is too much. It's too much.
It's not a baby.
Mm-hmm.
That baby was that's a little baby. So
Mm-hmm.
of course he's gonna want to see his kids, and it's just like dealing with your feelings, having maybe adult age kids that can, or mature kids that can use the phone versus dealing with your feelings. And we got a baby together. We just had a baby, a baby just fresh out the, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Were
Yeah.
your kids questioning like, where's dad?
They never questioned where he was. Now, their dad is an absolutely amazing dad. When I say, like, we were not good husband and wife, but as far as parents, like, he's there. He's always supportive. He's on the teams. He's driving 6-12 hours, to come see his kids. So, they weren't so much asking where he was. It was why. Like, my oldest was like, I just never saw this coming. Like, I didn't even know y'all were unhappy. Like, he was really shocked that, because I was always thinking, like, surely you saw us arguing. Like, surely you saw us not happy. Like, I just thought maybe he thought he was just like, well, maybe this isn't, I don't know. I just didn't really think he was going to be that surprised. But he was truly shocked, and he was just like, this is, but when you think about it, at that age, he was 9 or 10. So that's all he knew for the last 9 years was mom and dad. And we do this, we do that, we're going. And now it's no longer mom and dad. Now it's mom over here and dad over here, and they're not talking. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, what is going on? So for him, he had a lot of questions of why did it happen? How did it happen? Mm-hmm. And then my middle, like now that he's 9, because he's 9 now, he has those questions of, well, why didn't y'all stay together? Or why can't you be with dad? Or why can't you marry dad? So I guess maybe around that 9-8 age, that's when they get inquisitive. And then the baby, like I said, he was 1 when we left. So he never really got that mom and dad in the house together for a long time, like the other 2. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit easier for him. He doesn't ask those but why questions.
Okay. So let me see if I want to ask anything else about, because we're going to talk about learning to love again. So building trust, going from healing after divorce, how did you learn to trust men again?
Oh, child. And it's crazy because I am in a relationship, and I've been in this relationship through my, while I was going through my divorce and now present. And just, it just makes me look at him and be like, oh, Jesus, you got to be strong, because like I went through so much, like my emotions were so up and down. Like one day I would be like, I'm never getting married again. Like I wish somebody would ask me to marry again. Like this is not happening. I'm not doing it. I'm not legally signing my name to nobody. And he would be like, okay, like that's what you want to do. Like, it's like, and then
you told the new guy?
Because I was like, I don't want to do this. Like I like you. This is working, and if you're cool with it being like this, like this is good. Because I don't want to do that. I don't want to marry nobody. I don't want to be with nobody. Not like that. Because I don't want to feel like this. You know what I mean? I don't ever want to get close to having a divorce again. Like that's something I don't ever want to do again. So, but with him, like he's been so patient. And I think that patience and that consistency of always being there and always showing up as, someone that I can always count on, that, allowed me to feel safe. And that's when I learned, because they used to be like, what is love to you? And I didn't really feel like I was given the best answer. But now when people ask me what love for me is safety. And so him allowing me to feel safe allowed me to trust him and allowed me to be like, okay, well, this is different. Because he would always be like, I'm not your last, or I'm not like that. That's not who I am. And so, just the whole time and being together and seeing consistently that, okay, I'm okay. I'm safe. Nothing's happened. Nothing's blew up. Nobody's, dying, or nothing's wrong. Like, this is okay.
Mm-hmm. What are some characteristics he had that made you say, wow, this is different?
Patience, understanding, Oh my God. Like when he gets me, you know, he understands me. He hears me. He allows me to speak. I feel heard. I feel validated. I feel like, I don't know. I feel the word I want to keep coming. I just feel safe.
And you didn't feel safe in your previous marriage?
My therapist, shout out to Risha Jack, but my therapist, she says that it was a manager. Like I have a manager that appears when Tara does not feel safe. And so when Tara doesn't feel safe, then she retreats back in. And she's like, nope, I'm not coming out. I'm not going to deal with that because we're not safe here. Something's going to happen to Tara. So you get my manager. And so that's like a representative. And that representative can adapt to whatever situation she needs to be in and be who she needs to be. And I feel like during my marriage, I was a representative because I wasn't comfortable to be myself or figure out who I was. You know, I got lost in being a mom. I got lost in being the wife I thought I should have been when I should have been developing me and finding out who I am. But now looking back on it, Tara didn't feel safe. So Tara wasn't there.
So do you feel like being in the wrong marriage can prevent a person from really growing into the woman that she can be?
I think yeah, for me it was.
And what are, like, once you healed and got over that, what are some things that you started discovering about yourself?
I'm a happier person. I'm not.
You look happy.
Thank you. I'm not as negative. I try to find the positive in situations, and you know, just trying to be, you know, trying to be more understanding.
And who were you before? Like, what are some characteristics you didn't like about yourself that you realized were maybe a result from being in that marriage?
Say that one more time for me. I'm sorry.
No problem. Is the baby? See,
we
got kids around here. But I said, what were some characteristics that you can say, man, I really didn't like that about myself, that may have been a result from being married to the wrong partner?
Being critical, being judgmental, being negative. I just was like, I don't like that about me. I don't like, you know, always having an attitude or always being so irritable or always just being like, oh, I don't want to do it. Like, I just felt like I was always just mad, angry.
Because internalizing feelings of, I won't even say inferiority, but not being appreciated and loved, and you didn't feel safe. It's almost like, from what you were saying, it's almost like a feeling of uneasiness when you're going around somebody who should be your safe space.
It was always do you love me? Or am I loved? Like, I was always like in a question. It was almost like it was always a question mark. Like, what is today gonna bring?
Mm-hmm. Because a lot of us aren't really taught what love is. We have to figure it out. And a lot of us aren't taught, okay, this is how you vet a mate. We just have to figure it out and feel as we go. And a lot of us are taught marriage. Shantrisi and I, she's in the comment section, but we talk about the Disney princesses. They're, you know, they always have this knight in shining armor who comes and saves them. So like you said previously, we watch TV and we think, okay, this is what love is, or once I get married, then this will happen. And then it's like, what after marriage? We see the princesses get married, but then what? We don't see what people go through, or like you said, how to actually make it work.
That's very, very true. I didn't even really think about that. You don't see Cinderella and the knight living in the house raising kids.
After he's birthed her, then what?
Right.
You just see up until that moment.
And I guess honestly, that's kind of how like marriage is. Like, you don't really know. You know what I mean? You find this person, you say I love you, you have the wedding, and you hope it works, right? You hope that every day he's gonna wake up or she's gonna wake up and want to do that same thing every day. Because I feel like that's what it takes in a marriage. Like, y'all gotta get up and want to do the same thing every day, whether that's go to work, whether that's work on the marriage, whether that's raise kids, whether that's, whatever you have to do, y'all both got to get up and want to do something every day for either yourself and for that other person.
Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to a person who is maybe they're not happy and their mate is not willing to compromise? Like, how long should a person give a person until they say, you know what, this is it? And also, what are some progressive steps they can take to get through the hurt?
I think, like I tell, people I talk to now, it's like, don't be a doormat. Like, and it's hard that final step of walking away. Because honestly, like I said, my ex-husband, he's the one that filed, and my plan was to file, but I don't know if I ever would have, right? So I get, sitting in that marriage and being like, I'm not happy, but I don't want to leave either. And if you take the steps and finding that happiness, like for me, with my ex-husband, I at the end in those last few weeks, I would pray every single day. Like I say that, pray to God and ask God for guidance, and then just pray. And so I would hear God say, work on your marriage. And so that's what I felt like I was supposed to do. And so when we decided to work on our marriage, we were going to therapy. I was, even in my down times when I was like, oh, this isn't working or he's not feeling it, I would pray to God and I would be like, okay, God, you said, I hear you. You're saying work on my marriage, and I'm working on my marriage, but I'm going to need you. I'm going to need you to come help me get through this part because I can't do it. And so I think, but that brought me peace, because when he did decide to leave, I knew, like, I went to therapy. I prayed to God. I did what I felt right. I felt like I did the best that I could do. So I'm confident and I'm comfortable in walking away because I know there's nothing for me there anymore. So I can move on, but now I got to deal with the hurt of my whole life changing. So I would give that person who's sitting in a marriage thinking or contemplating getting a divorce, take that step, pray to God first, ask for guidance, and then wherever God leads you, do your best. Be obedient, be patient, and do, what God tells you to do. And if it doesn't end out the way you want it to end out, then it's something better coming. Mm-hmm. Something's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Or it could be, your marriage works and y'all work it out and y'all move on and y'all have this happily ever after. But my advice is pray to God and ask God for guidance.
Okay. So there were quite a few people that said they have went through a divorce and they've been waiting on you to come on the show. What advice would you give to someone who is going through that initial hurt of being divorced?
Sit in it, feel it, realize how it's making you feel, realize why it's making you feel that, so that you can understand that this is why this happened. For me, it helped me process it better to be able to move on and be like, okay, this happened. It made me feel like this. This is what I do to make myself feel better. Mm-hmm. Whether that's forgiveness, I had to forgive myself a lot of guilt. So forgiveness was a big thing for me. But, providing yourself with what you need to move on, because you got to keep moving.
How do you, because breakups hurt, going to work, how do you deal with it? You got to go to work because your routine can't stop. Life can't stop because you're going through it, right? How did you continue to go to work while going
that
through
was hard. And I'm gonna be honest, like, transparent moment, like when I moved, because I had to relocate too, so I was working and then the pandemic hit. I'm actively going through a divorce and now I'm working from home. I was just like, I can't do it. Like, something's not right. Like, and I ended up losing my job. So I was, it was bad for me. Like, it was a lot. Like, that pandemic, going through those feelings from that divorce, like, it was hard.
Do you feel like it slowed down your productivity at work because
I was missing, like, and I am very, like, structured. I was missing meetings. I was not putting stuff in my calendar. I was just I was not me, And I look back on it and I just had to think about, like, Todd, you was going through a lot. You know, you got everybody going through this pandemic together, and then you got this divorce on top of it. So and then I had just started a new job too, so just trying to adjust to the job, and it was just a lot. It was a lot.
So you, even with the pandemic and people having to be closed in, that was a lot. Because you really had no choice but to, because we weren't really out like that during the pandemic. So we were staying in. So just,
and this was like when the whole world was locked down, like lockdown. You know, no stores open, but the groceries. Remember, like this was 2020.
And closing early.
Kids at home. I'm a teacher, so I'm like, oh God.
So did they see the pain on your face, or could they do like, Mommy, is everything okay?
Yep. My kids would see me cry. They would be like, are you okay? You know, I would just tell them I'm okay. You know, I'm just having a sad moment. I'll be fine. And then we'll just keep it moving. But yeah, they definitely, the oldest, he saw.
And because still, even though you're going through all that and you said you and your ex-husband have a great co-parenting relationship, or he's a great co-parent, how do you keep from telling the kids, like, this is your dad is just this and that, and still, not, like you said, not being petty, but still being cordial, even though all of this is going on, and still helping your kids uphold this person as a great parent? How do you do that? How do you get past your own head to still co-parent during a divorce?
I think a lot of it in the beginning during my petty phase, it was I'm not finna. The one thing my kids, they not finna say, Mama told me daddy wasn't nothing, or daddy was this, or daddy was that. Like, I didn't want my kids to be around here saying, well, my mama said this about you, or my mama said that about you. Like, I was not gonna do it. If anything, your daddy's amazing, your daddy's fantastic, your daddy's gonna be like, you know, I'm pumping them up. I want my kids, I want my sons to look up to their dad and be like, man, my dad's amazing. You know what I mean? I don't want them to ever look at him in a negative light. And but that has nothing to do with me. Right? I want them to always look at their dad as an amazing father. Now, how they choose to look at their dad as a husband, that's something that they have to, you know, or how they feel their dad should be as a husband, you know, that's something that they have to develop. And I don't want to have anything to do with that, because, you know, he's not my husband. So it's not something that I can share with them that be like, well, your dad was like this, or your dad was like that, or your dad did this. Like, I don't want to put any negative image of their dad in their head from me. So that's just always been my motivator, is I don't want my kids to think of their father negatively. So it's not gonna come from me.
Okay. So we talked about, back to the new boo. So we talked about how you had all these feelings of, I'm never gonna do this, I'm never gonna do that. So your guard is down now, you feel safe with him, and things like that. Do you plan on getting married again, or is it just like, you know, you got to be cool with us just dating?
No, I want to be married now. And it's crazy. It's crazy. Because I was so like, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to sign my name to nothing. Like, we can get married. I told him in the beginning, I was like, we can get married, but I'm not signing my name on paper. Like, we can even have the people and have the vows and all that, but I'm not, when we get done, I'm not filing nothing with the county. But now I'm just like, I want to be your wife. Like, I want to grow this love. I want to see where this is going to go. I want to see what we can do. Like, I feel like I have a partner that I can work with and grow with.
And I got a couple more questions and we'll wrap this up. How did you vet your mate? Because a lot of us don't know how to vet or what vetting is. How did you vet your mate? Or how do you guys find each other, and how did you realize, hey, this is the one for me? Like, what progressive steps did you go through?
So we met in Atlanta. And like I said, we met during my divorce. So in the beginning, I didn't take it like I was just his friend, right? I'm not looking at you as I'm looking for a husband or I'm looking for a boyfriend. I just need somebody I'm in this new city. I don't have any friends. You seem cool. Like, I like our vibe. So let's just be friends. And so that's how we started out. He, had his thing going on, and I would give him advice about, his situation. He would give me advice about my divorce. So we just started out really as just like friends.
Mhm.
And then, once I moved back to Memphis, after my
Mhm.
divorce, he moved here too as well. He had his own place. We dated, and then we, started living together. But during that stage of just seeing how he interacted with my children, was one main important thing for me. Like, will my kids like him? Because my kids have already been through enough or are going through enough with my divorce. So I don't want to bring someone else in that I could possibly do that again with. And now, especially somebody that's not their dad. So just really seeing how he was with them was one of my major things in vetting him. And
Mhm.
then, like I said, how he consistently shows up for me. Like, do I feel comfortable? Do I feel safe in being with you?
Right.
And he's just, like I said, he's always been patient. He's always, calm. He's always like, he's just always been there.
And so now we're gonna wrap this thing up. Did you have anything left to say before we wrap things up?
I just say, marriage is a beautiful thing. Marriage is hard. Marriage breakups are hard, but I think you can do anything, as long as both of you guys are wanting to work on it and be the best that you guys can be,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
And what I got from that is don't be, it's a partnership and you shouldn't be alone within a partnership.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also you get who you marry is who you date. They don't change because of a title.
Nope.
Thank you so much, Tara, for being
No problem. Thank you for having me.
it was a wealth of knowledge. I really enjoyed it, and also the comments enjoyed you too, because somebody's either going through it, getting ready to go through it, or don't even, we don't process divorce like that. We just think
Right.
about marriage and the glitz and glamour, the cake, the guests and things like that, but it's like what happens after the guests go away,
Right.
you're left alone to you and this person to make it work in one person, because
Mm-hmm.
you could always want to make it work and you could always put your best foot forward, but it takes two people making a decision to make it work.
Every single day. Every single day.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. See you later.
See ya. Bye.